Welcome back to the grind. In this video, we're going to talk about day 3 of the trading post. And I do apologize if the audio is off a little bit. I am not in town this weekend, so I'm doing my best to make this video when I have the time and in a location that I'm able to. But I do feel like the audio is going to be off a little bit, but I do hope that you're still able to follow along and get something out of this video. Now, this is a very interesting day because we have never seen research eggs on offer before in any other capacity than if you were to breed extra dragons that you've already bred in order to get them. Now, let's start from the top. The featured item is a Mythic Rage Rune. Now, this is a great rune for hunters, especially because it gives also an additional hunter ammo. And so this is a rare rune in the game, not to mention that it has rage and ammo. That's like what hunters want. The problem is we saw this same rune it was at Soul Dance season for less sigils than this. I think it was 1,500 sigils. However, that being said, this is still an amazing rune. So if you do not have runes that give rage or especially ammo to hunters, then this is something that you might want to consider if you like flying hunters and you do not have any or many of these runes, and you're in a position where you can afford it. So it is a great rune. Yes, it is nice to be able to afford it with sigils instead of having to save up over 1,000 silver chests and open it in a specific event in order to try to get it. So this is a means to get it where you can guarantee that you're getting it. So that is a great deal in and of itself. However, it is a bit more expensive than we saw it in the past. And so it's hard to say it's worth it or not because, we've only had this opportunity twice now. And so it really depends on your situation, what your sigil situation is, what your rune situation is, and how much you want this rune. So that is up for you to decide. I personally do not feel like I need it, so I'm going to pass on that. This next one is Speedups. It is 12 of the 12-hour speedups for 150 sigils. You can purchase it 8 times. Now, this is not as good as yesterday's deal, but it's still a decent deal, although it's half as good as yesterday's deal. So because I did grab a bunch of yesterday's and I'm in a good position speed up wise, I'm not going to get this. But if you are desperate for speed ups and you have the sigils to spare and it still works with your season plan and you need the speed ups, then this is a decent deal. It's just not as good as yesterday's deal. So it depends on your situation, but less likely, I feel like people are less likely to need this deal, especially if they got yesterday's deal. And if they pass on yesterday's deal, then you should also pass on this deal because it's not as good. Okay, now we're getting on to the interesting stuff here. We're going to go through it hopefully rather quickly so we don't waste time. You can get 5 of these Empyrean eggs. So it's a full Empyrean egg, which you can then use towards research, which is amazing because, you have to spend egg tokens otherwise to do this. You can do this 5 times at 750 each. We're going to break down the value of this after we go through all of these. So then you can get emerald eggs, each one for 350, and you can purchase it 10 times. And then you get 2 platinum eggs for 150 sigils, and you can purchase it 10 times. Now, the platinum eggs are a lot easier to get. The interesting ones are more emerald and then especially Empyrean. And let's go take a look at why. As you know, I rely on Morion's evaluation and assessment of things, and we have his analysis on the forums. And for these research eggs, he has broken down how much it would cost in egg tokens in order to farm these by refreshing egg token missions, and then taken that ruby cost and converted it into the sigil cost. So for the Empyrean research eggs, it would cost 1,200 sigils of rubies in order to get them from grinding, and that would take a bunch of time as well. So you can get a research egg for 750 sigils, which is a good value, and it saves you a ton of time. So this is definitely worth your investment if you have the means to do it and you need the Empyrean eggs. I personally am not at a point where I need Empyrean eggs, so I will pass on them. Then for emerald eggs, you can see the deal is not quite as good, but it's still pretty good. The 350 sigils that you would spend is less than what you would have to spend to grind it out, and that would be a value of about 440 sigils. So the difference is not quite as big, but you don't have to spend the time refreshing missions and grinding it out. So it definitely is still a good deal if you do need emerald research eggs. On the contrary, the platinum research eggs are not as good because when you just breed through platinum, you actually get a ton of extra platinum eggs. And in addition to that, the cost of these in sigils is actually more expensive than if you just spent the time grinding it out with research missions, with egg token missions, refreshing them and grinding them out. However, it would take a little extra effort, but it would be better for your time. If you just need a couple of these to finish off the line and move on to the next tier, then sure, it might be worth your while to spend the small amount of sigils to do that. But as a whole, getting a bunch of these is not necessarily worth it. So I do hope that this was helpful. I hope to make another one of these tomorrow. I will still be out of town, but I'll do my best to get it out in a reasonable time. Good luck with this event, and I will see you in the next video.